Hey everyone, Scott Jernigan here, filling in for Mike
Yeah.
Meyers, and I've got my special guest star, Rex Racer, over here on my
Greetings.
right. Not sure
There, now start. We were off.
we were off.
Hey guys, now we're on. It's all good.
Hey everyone, welcome to the Monday AMA without Mike Meyers today. He's off somewhere in Jellystone or Yellowstone or something, hanging out with Yogi and Boo Boo. So it's Scott Jernigan and Dave Rush filling in for him for the
Greetings all.
thing. So we're doing this show that Mike started several months ago because, as we all know, we're in the middle of a pandemic and some of us can't get out and do the proper studying that we'd like to do or even interact with live people. So the purpose of this is so that you who are studying for CompTIA certifications or just want to hang out can ask us questions. And we'll stick mainly with ITF plus, CompTIA A plus, Network plus, Security plus, but we can certainly go well beyond there. And if you were on last week, we certainly went well beyond there into gaming and all kinds of crazy things. So ask questions.
And if Scott starts drooling and reminiscing about days of DOS 3.1 and you're new to computerisms, don't worry about it. You don't need to know it for CompTIA. He just sags into that old man mode sometimes, remembering when he was a child.
But then I switched to my old man voice. I remember when, you kids. Something like that.
Yeah. Let me see if I can add to your woes
Mike
here.
Dominic is in, we think he's in Yellowstone National Park, which is in, what, Montana? Way up north. And cruising around the woods and having a great vacation. He will definitely be on Wednesday because we have a special guest from CompTIA, Dr. James Stenger, who is going to talk to us about all kinds of crazy stuff like computer security and certifications, including PenTest Plus and others. So Wednesday is going to be a really fun show. Mike will definitely be here for that.
And Scott, I'm about to post or repost the contact info if you want to.
Okay. So if you have questions, you can post them right there in the live stream and we will get to them. If you have more complicated questions or want to contact me or Dave or Mike Meyers so that we can do some research on something a little more complex, here's our contact information. So Mike Meyers, Michael M at TotalSim.com, Dave Rush is Dave R at TotalSim.com, and I'm Scott J at TotalSim.com. So for those of you who are new to this, Mike Meyers, president of Total Seminars and our star author. I'm Scott Jernigan. I'm the editor-in-chief for the company and author in my own right and frequent contributor to pretty much everything Mike does. And then we have Dave Rush, who is our senior instructor. So
and that's all I do. And since we're trapped at home, I don't do that. So I pretty much stay here and game.
So yeah, if you, we're gamers for sure, as is Mike, and we're all on Steam. So Mike on Steam is Des Weds. Dave is Dave Rush Texas. No,
Blood Rush Texas.
Blood Rush Texas, right? Blood Rush TX.
Right.
And then I'm Starheart. So there you go.
HART. No EA in there.
That's right. So, just because you're here on this AMA, we have a weekly special for you. And today's special, Dave, I'm going to post it in the live chat, and Dave will post the stream.
There it is.
It is 50% off on all of our Total Tester standalone products. And we have Total Tester, these are our practice exams, not just for the big CompTIA 3 or 4, but plenty of other certifications, including some of the more advanced certifications brought by CompTIA, like CySA Plus and PenTest Plus, but also things like AWS certification. So plenty of things to choose from, and they're 50% off this week. Just use the code MMLiveComet at TotalSim.com when you check out. So it's a good deal.
And we totally blew that. The comet is going away. It peaked like the 23rd of last month. And for you stargazers, actually for you stargazers, you already know this, but if you're not a stargazer, the Perseids is the best show of the year, and it will peak tomorrow night. So look toward the heavens. There's some good stuff out there.
Nice. Excellent. So let's see who we have on today.
Indeed.
Andre de Guert was on first. Hello, fellow nerds. Hello to you. Tullowick, good morning, or good afternoon, as the case may be, or for some of you, good evening, right? Alan Dugan, Aaron Humphreys, Jean Dorival.
Yeah, Aaron's a new name for me. Welcome, Aaron.
I don't even see Aaron. Oh, Aaron. Yes, Aaron. Yeah, and Jean. And Alice Pozzi. Actually pronounced it correctly this time. Coming to us from Italy. That's awesome. Good to see you all here. And Charles C. Plassman. Hello.
Oh, haven't seen Charles in a while. Welcome back, CP.
Right. LBOE is here. Mario's here. Excellent. Brendan S. Greg Davis. Armando Perez. Hello there. Dominic Malo. Dominic, Mike is in Yellowstone. I said that already. I think you were on. So he's traipsing about in the woods.
You need the Miss Sally big empty. I see Sally and I see Fred and I see
right.
Yes, LBOE. I have Racer X and I have Speed and I have many more things that will appear in the background. Racer's about 6'3", and I'm sitting down here at 3'1". So this is my actual height. I am standing up right now. So
he's 3'1". So just very proportional, though.
That's right. I'm a homunculus.
There it is. All right, Andre. I finished the videos on Core 2 this week and started on the practice exams. All right. Have you scheduled your exam yet? You know what
Mike says? Heat and pressure make diamonds.
That's right. That's right. You got it. Cindy Anstey.
Welcome, Cindy. New face.
New face.
No.
Yeah, but no. I failed CompTIA A+. Passing all the quizzes and exams I could find. Well, if you were using our practice exams and getting 85% or better, then you would have had a pretty good chance of passing. So I would take a step back, spend a couple of weeks focusing on things that you were a little bit surprised on the exam, questions that you weren't quite prepared for. Make sure you've got that extra information ready and keep practicing on practice exams and jump back on the horse.
Right. There's a lot of questions here, Cindy. The question starts with, what are you using for your study materials? Are you using the book, the videos, the practice tests, the sims? So, if you're just looking to pass the test because you've studied practice test questions, that doesn't work. You can't learn what you need to know from those things. And as Scott said, if you're getting in the 85% and better, that's great. That's usually a good indicator that you're progressing, unless you've just taken them so many times that you recognize them. When I've read 3 words of the question, I already know the answer is D. Then so be it. But here's what you want to do. You got a report and you left the CompTIA test center, or I don't know how they're doing that on the home taking ones. If they're giving you a PDF or downloading, that's a heck of a question. Nobody's ever brought that up.
I don't know the answer to that.
Yeah, we got to find that out. But if you take them on site, you get a report when you're done. And so I'm sure somehow, some way, the home test is doing the same thing. They give you a report of every objective that you missed 1 or more questions in. And you can use that report to laser focus on your weak areas. So use the study materials that you're using or add some study materials to that, study those topics up, and get ready to take it again in a couple of weeks or sooner.
Absolutely. Good advice, Dave.
Thanks.
So João is here. João Sousa, our favorite Portuguese.
Yeah.
Awesome. Dominic Mallow, when is this? Asking about our products is tough. When is Cybersecurity Analyst Plus, the new version video class coming out? It was scheduled to be filmed this summer, and that went right out the airlock. Oh, I've been reading science fiction, so I'll have lots of space terms for you today. Yeah, it went out the airlock because everybody's locked down. Nobody wants to travel.
We did a 002 update in some class, but I don't remember which one. Here, you gab, and I will come up with that answer real quick.
Okay. So, yeah, we had scheduled it. The gentleman who did our CYSA Plus 001 videos, Brent, is fully gainfully employed on the West Coast and doesn't have enough time to come back and do it again. So we're bringing in another expert to update the product, but it's not there yet.
Yeah, we did Cloud Plus 002, the update.
Right, right.
Joe, I'm missing that. What is your worst part? I don't play video games or gamble. Okay, well, I hope you drink then. You've got to have some kind of a vice.
I think he probably watches lots of football. That's what I would guess.
Fair game. Brendan, you're in and you're already bailing on messages. Stop it.
Right? So Alice has a question.
Fire away.
If you pass Net Plus, how hard will Sec Plus be? So it's a very different exam. Security Plus is a broad, almost definitional exam. So there's a ton of terms you need to know. You need to know a lot more than just networking stuff. So enterprise organization topics, lots of security, obviously. Sorry, that was a no-brainer there. But not just security as in how to lock down a system, but how to lock down your entire organization. So there's plenty of stuff, but it's not a very deep exam. So I would actually say Net Plus is harder. But your mileage may vary, or your kilometers may vary.
Yeah, completely agree. I didn't know much about Sec Plus when I joined the company, and I don't have hands-on experience in risk analysis and risk management on facilities, but I was able to pass the test by reading Mike's books. Did that before we ever did any videos on them. So yes, you can study. There's not much to practice. It's mostly reading and understanding, and some practice tests go a long way in helping out.
Mm-hmm.
You can pass it.
Absolutely. And although we're offering our practice tests for a special deal for you guys this week, I would urge you to, if you can or can afford it, to get other people's practice tests too. So that's just kind of a basic rule for studying for any of these certifications. I mean, I think our stuff is great and obviously the best, but other people write things differently. They can approach a topic differently, and sometimes their explanations will help and make more sense to you than mine or Mike's. So, or Dave's for that matter. So definitely, if you can, get somebody else's practice exams as well.
Andre, which general direction for the comet? Well, the comet is gone. If I'm not sure, well, you're about the same latitude we are. So at 3 o'clock Central Time, it's high in the northeast sky. You can't see it; it's daylight unless you've got super equipment. And by 9 p.m. our time, so this is going to be roughly the same for you because the Earth spin works the same way. It goes below the horizon in the northwest side. So it's kind of moving like this. Best time to see it is from dusk to dark in the northwest to northwest. But it's gone. It's still out there faintly. The Perseids are the much better show. It's going to be a big show if you're not cloud covered, and that will move across the sky as the night goes by. from southeast to southwest.
Excellent.
Yes, I have other hobbies.
And with Dave, he has plenty of other hobbies and many, many lives. See?
That's an interesting thing.
Oh, Tomas, hello.
Yeah, go back up here because this is an interesting one to, right after the Andre's question, Zhao is offering to share notes.
That's very sweet.
With Cindy. I'm not sure how they would coordinate that here since all they have is YouTube monikers, but I guess you can find each other on each other's YouTube channels.
Or you could both email me or Dave.
There you go. Yeah, if either of you or both of you would send a message to either one of us with your permission to share with the other, we would be happy to do that.
Right, absolutely. So Trevor, I'm not going to pronounce your last name. Kreitz?
Oh, come on, that's a gimme. That's Kreitz.
Kreitz.
Yep.
Nice to see you too. And see, Jean, we actually secretly before we came on, you had already posted hello, and Dave and I were like, okay, we're gonna go French. We're gonna go French. It's gonna be awesome. Glad we got it right. PCN, hello. Aaron Starrett, hey, good to see you again.
Yes, Romper Room. Thank you, Tolowit. I couldn't come up. It was Miss Sally, I'm pretty sure.
That's funny.
Romper Room.
Wow. That was even before my kids' time.
I remember Romper Room, but she was long gone by the time mine arrived.
Yep. So Dominic answered your question. PDF. He took it at home and got a PDF that showed him what he did, good or bad, on the exam.
That's really good to know. Thank you, Dominic.
Thank you. John Lehman. Whoop, my screen just scrolled like crazy.
That's right, I got him. Afternoon, I find myself keeping an ear to the ground, as it were, to recent news in the IT world. My question is, being that you two are IT professionals, is this something that comes with the trade?
Yes, because our field is changing so rapidly and has been for so long. It's pretty much a guarantee. If you're going to stay in IT, you need to be focused every day, reading the news, checking out new products that are coming out, looking at new updates to operating systems and applications that are important to you, keeping a pulse on the field of tech is incredibly important. When smartphones, for example, came out and took over the world, those of us who were already A+ certified and working in the field had to recognize the fact that suddenly a lot of our customers, whether it was going to be on the CompTIA exam or not, would need support with these new computing devices. And so we dove into that new technology. It's the same thing with virtual reality devices. As that becomes more and more mainstream and adopted more, we need to know it, even if it's not on the A+ exam, although it is on the current one. But so jumping into those new topics, absolutely, you have to stay current.
Yes, without doubt. And if you pursue these kinds of certifications, CompTIA and other certification groups kind of help you move along anyways. You can't stop it because every new iteration of a course comes out deals with the new technologies. So you got to stay on top of it. I got Zhao. He's offering some study techniques. I did something time consuming, but very effective for me. I watched A+ video once, watched twice, taking notes on paper, and then from paper to Word. So yeah, I recommend something fairly similar to that in one of my other areas that I proctor when people run across challenging material, new material. I tell them pretty much the same thing. So watch it, take notes, make flashcards, and then dump it. Let it stew in your brain for a day, and then do it again tomorrow. And then again, maybe a third time, because I guarantee whenever you're working with new material, your brain in its unconscious state is putting stuff together. And when you watch it that second time or third time, more and more of it makes sense. We're humans. We need repetition.
The action of writing things down and not just typing, but writing them down by hand is proven learning theory that it's just a different way that your brain processes the information, and you will retain it better, even with handwriting as bad as mine.
Yeah, the more senses you can involve, if we could make it smell like burning electronics, when that'll really emphasize it.
Wow, Dave.
Taste it, see it, hear it, touch it, you get the drill.
This is true.
7 weeks, 2 weeks to review. That sounds like a pretty good timetable, Joe.
Yep. So, Andre, that's not my ringtone. That's Dave's ringtone.
Oh,
Beam us up,
I flipped it when it first went. Sorry about that. That's my text sound. I love that one. Tomas Protovin. I know I've got that wrong, but I don't want to call it Protovin, but that's cool too. Can you help me find reason? What's the point of having different CCTLD than the actual location of the web server? So that's if somebody sets up a DNS entry for this www.thiscoolplace, but it actually sends you to www.thatcoolplace. And that comes from a lot of possible rationale, and I'm not going to know all of them by any stretch, but let's say that I'm Joe Megacorp, and there are 4,700 TLDs these days. It's kind of almost a scam that the people who make and sell these things are using so that you can protect yourself and your brand, so that you can own megacorp.com and megacorp.info and megacorp.store. So, well, there's only one real website that you want all those folks to go to, right? So you buy all those, you register all those in your name, but then you have them all redirected in DNS servers so that all those funky, weird little TLDs, top level domains he's talking about, always redirect your calls to that primary one.
So the other question, and I'm thinking that we might as well address it here as well, because he talks about the CC, the country code, top level domains. Mm-hmm. So for example, why would you hide something like, when I go to, I read The Guardian as my newspaper of choice every morning. And of course, that's out of the UK. And when I type guardian.com, it pops up and it's in the UK, but it's the US version. So they're actually looking at my country code and putting a version that is more appropriate to me. But if I want to find out the best news of the Premier League, then I simply go to guardian.uk or guardian.co.uk and get the UK version, because that's going to give me more up to the minute football information. So there you go.
And I would suspect then, since you've said that there's a geofencing issue involved as well, because any website can check your global IP address, your public IP address, and know your country by that and restrict you or allow you.
Right.
So a lot of possible reasons, Tomas. Ha! Okay, thank goodness. Joe does in fact have a vice. I'm now also hoping that you smoke good cigars.
Excellent. Tell it. And the puns begin.
Yeah, thank you.
Tell me to get my head out of the clouds. Now it is a good thing, because of course we have Cloud Plus. And cloud certifications, those of you who are finishing up with A+ and Net Plus, looking at Cloud Plus or into some AWS, that's Amazon Web Services certifications. Yes, Mike will tell you to go get a job. But if you're studying this and you're still locked down and you want to have a little extra direction, cloud is super hot right now. So, and in fact, Amazon is one of the people hiring in droves, at least in the US. And I'm guessing somebody else who was about to start a job in Spain at a.
Yeah, they just got a new job. I don't recall. We may see them online. We'll come up with a name.
Okay.
Mallow, Dominic, can you please talk about CCNA? Have you taken the new one? How does it compare to NetPlus? So nobody at Total has taken the new one yet. We are familiar with it. We know the objectives, and we've seen some other instructors who are talking about it. So it used to be that NetPlus covered half of CCNA. It covered the core networking stuff. So what's a packet? What's a frame? How does IP address working? All that good stuff. And it was kind of a really good idea to go take NetPlus. And then when you go take CCNA, CCNA had two elements, the same networking stuff as NetPlus, and then Cisco specific stuff. So if you want to learn iOS, how to program and configure their routers and things like that, then that was the other half of CCNA. Now it's a little different. So CCNA changed in February. That's the new one. And what they did, we get this question a lot, so forgive me, those of you who've heard this spiel before, but I've said it enough that I pretty much know it by heart. There used to be a whole bunch of little sub-certifications from Cisco, like Cloud Functions and 8 other ones. I don't remember them now. But what they did is they dumped all of those little mini certifications and buried them into the new version of CCNA. So CCNA now has 11 elements. So it's got core networking, it's got iOS, and it's got all these other little pieces. So there is nothing that's a corollary to that in the real world, including NetPlus. NetPlus is a networking course. We teach, and CompTIA wants you to know how to wire up a 568A or B connector and how a switch works and how a router works. So still a good idea if you want the core networking to do NetPlus. There's a lot of really good background, and I think probably more than you get in CCNA. There might be some little minor differences, but and then go take CCNA, get a good course so you can get all that broad information that you need for the rest of the stuff.
Yeah, it's a good idea. TK responded a little bit later.
Yeah, I see that.
Almost the same thing. Yeah, just take NetPlus first and then get the extra CCNA information. Yep.
Will we be asked to do scripts on PowerShell integrated scripting environment for A+1002? No way.
Yeah, no way. Will you be able to recognize PowerShell? Be able to recognize the output of a PowerShell command? It's a
30,000 foot overview.
Yeah.
You don't have to get into the depths of it.
Yeah.
Know about its existence, know what it is, what it's used for, and what its competitive, if you want to call it that, utilities would be.
All right, what else we got here?
It's here.
Hey, Ian.
Scott, you're right. Total Seminars does our practice tests the best. Nice to see you, Ian. Again, I think we just saw each other at 8 o'clock this morning.
Right. And Ian, of course, just before he jumped on board with us, had used our stuff to successfully take and pass the A+ certification exam. So he is a new convert.
Yeah.
To the Total Seminars way.
Hey, and as we get more and more involved in Ian, I'm really looking forward to introducing him. Hopefully he can get on here sometime. His background is very different than most of the background that we've got. He's a fine editor, and he's certainly got a writing strong background, but like all of us, his world is led in some interesting directions, and he's a good guy to meet.
Yeah. And we're looking for so I'm going to tell on you, Ian. Coming out of Hollywood, so has a lot of script writing background and editing background, and some of the stuff that he's already written for me in the past week. I'm like, whoa, this is going to be cinematic. It's going to be awesome. Look for some cool videos coming pretty soon, as soon as we can get back in the studio, or even before. We even have some.
Yeah, he was telling me about some of them this morning. I'm laughing without even seeing them yet.
Yeah. Now I'm very much looking forward to producing some new material.
Brendan, you heretic. Push Jason Dean on somebody here in our forum. Very nice.
No, Jason Dion, absolutely. Yes. Good guy, very interesting. really hyper and awesome. He calls himself ADD, but so yeah, and he does good stuff. No question about it.
Everybody talking to each other.
Yeah.
Jean Dorval says, studying for Net Plus exam. Any advice, guys? Is it difficult? Just past A+. Nothing is difficult if you know it all.
Wow, Dave. True. Approach Net Plus the same way you approached A+. It's actually a smaller exam, but you really have to know your networking stuff. I mean, obviously, because it's Network Plus, but because it's focused specifically on networking, the breadth that you had to grasp with A+ is not there. So you just immerse yourself in networking, get some networking equipment, get lots of virtual servers or other real or virtual hardware, and practice. Don't just read or watch a video. With the network stuff, you really need to know it. So dive in.
Yep, not hard. Just put the work in. Tiny circles. If you haven't seen that commercial, it's hilarious. Glenn Dady, greetings from Massachusetts.
Hello.
You may pack the car in the yard, play cards, and watch the show.
I can't do a Massachusetts accent at all.
Only the true Massachusetts can. I currently have 6 or 7 Star Wars things on my desk and a bunch of bookshelf, including Lego Millennium Falcon.
Nice.
Did you print your own Legos? Because if not, I'm not going to be impressed. We can all buy stuff. One hiccup on your mouse and everything just goes
right
rolling 10 miles away. Yemeni.
I'm shocked. There's lots of Star Wars fans here.
Say it ain't so. Except for the guy the other day, 2 sessions ago, I think the Wednesday last week, there's a guy who says, I'm into IT, but I don't like Star Wars. So he's been banned.
That's fun. So you have to like at least Star Wars or Star Trek.
Yeah.
I mean, you can't. I mean, I guess if you want to be a true barbarian, you could go Battlestar Galactica. But
the original series for me, but Scott likes the new one. I don't think Starbuck should be female. I think it should be a great female fighter pilot. But
she was awesome in that role. Awesome. Such a great twist on it.
Andres telling Tullowit, teachers are often mistaken. Mine said I'd never be able to make any money by looking out of the windows. And then I drove a truck for almost 20 years. There you go.
Yep.
I look into Windows, Microsoft Windows. Because, looking in the other windows got the cops looking at me and.
Right.
Sorry, I slid back a little bit.
Yep.
I missed those questions. Go ahead.
Jow, continuing the conversation with Cindy, offering some good advice. Absolutely. Telegram. I don't know what Telegram is, but.
You talking about the Brit newspaper, the Telegram?
No. Jow was saying a study group.
Oh, yeah. Okay. Yeah, I know that one. It's not the big common study group.
Right.
Group chat kind of thing. Okay.
You can also probably find good resources, not probably, you can find good resources on Reddit. They have a CompTIA channel with lots and lots of people on it. And we're active, not just in the, hey, I passed, congratulations, but people offering consistent advice and question answering and all sorts of stuff. So check out the reddit.com channel for CompTIA certifications. I think it's at CompTIA or something like that. I would have to look on my other computer, but it should be pretty easy to find.
Yeah. /r/CompTIA.
Okay. Thank you.
Jean Dorval thinks that we are always prepared.
we fake it well. We fake it.
Yeah. Thanks. Checks in the mail, Jean. And Ruben's back. Welcome, Ruben. Hello. Back at you.
Yeah, right. Trevor,
Good.
Comment about practice exams for CompTIA exams. I agree with Scott. Thank you.
That's all you need to say. Moving on.
All right. And Professor Messer, sure. Professor Messer has some great resources, and lots of them he gives away for free. You would use them. Absolutely. Jump in there. And
I've never heard of him. Professor Messer, I have to look that up.
Funny.
LBOE just finished a 50-question practice exam with 100%. What, you answered 100% of the questions, or you got it 100% right? Didn't expect that. Good for you. Cisco also restructured their whole cert path. That's true, TK. And they're going to dive into CCNA. We don't know where CCNP. We're not doing a class on it yet, though. Every time we have a roundtable discussion about what do you think we ought to put on the table next, that's certainly among the discussions.
Right. Although I still am pushing for Linux Plus.
Linux Plus first in my book. I don't know why.
Right.
Oh, good question for you from LBOE, Scott.
Wait a minute.
After you come back.
I have to show you what my light reading of the day was.
Ah, nice. Now we understand the question about Chown and Chmod.
That's right.
LBOE says, when did the IT fundamentals become ITF Plus?
They switched between the first and second revisions of the exam. And before that it was Strata. We never did know how to pronounce it. So, and they thankfully dumped that name, but then went to IT fundamentals, and then finally decided to brand it like the rest of the CompTIA exams and threw the plus sign on there. So a couple of years ago.
Yeah, about 2, I think. Because last time I taught that class as a stand-up class, it was, oh yeah, okay, new material, it's got a plus on it. And that was early last year or something, the year before.
It's a fun certification and it's a fun class to teach for sure. Because it's usually one of those, a class of people who are just starting out or who are professionals in some other field, and they have like these snippets of knowledge, and they kind of know how to use a computer because they have to use a computer, and they have a cell phone, so they know how to use that smartphone. But then you just sort of start putting the pieces together and making the patterns for them, and it's just like watching the eyes light up and the bells go off. It's totally fun. Love that class.
Mario's in. Hi, Mario. Are we talking about Scott and my handwriting, about writing like doctors? I am the only human who can read my own handwriting. I've been contracted out to provide encryption services for handwritten text.
Yeah, I should have an MD next to my name at this point in my life, just because of my handwriting.
Jow says, oops, sorry.
Yeah, it's horrible. Really horrible.
For a man who's a writer to boot, huh?
I know, right?
Jow says, I would like to learn how to format and mount a new hard disk drive on Ubuntu Debian CLI. I mean, I did it, but I don't think it was the most effective way. And I read there's more than one way of doing it. So I'm thinking 3 weeks. I'm going to talk maybe less than that. I talked a little bit about the file system on Pi Day Friday this week. By the way, this week's Friday will be a lot less boring. I have nothing but cool stuff. I'm going to do the one boring thing that we got to do. We're going to talk about all the required commands that you have to know in Linux for A+. I'm just going to kind of barrel through them. It's not going to be in-depth or painful and a lot of switches. We're just going to the level that CompTIA wants us to know. Nice. And then I'm into a number of different server types, and we're going to chew it up on Wireshark. But in a week or two after that, I'm going to get into mounting hard drives. And I will tell you now, the most elegant way to do it, brain farting on the term, is bleh. It'll come to me as we talk here. But yeah, I mean, you can do a manual mount, but manual mounting isn't consistent. And there is a config file whose name is just escaping me at the moment. I'll hit it before we get done here. And it is the absolute right way to do it. So you're going to refer to your device by its GUID or its UUID, depending on how you want to call it, and put it in this config file and set the parameters, and it's going to load when and where you want it perfectly every time. And you can't get that with any other method.
Right. So yeah, I look forward to that discussion, Dave. Thanks. Absolutely.
Mario thinks his is worse. His handwriting is worse. We'll see. We'll have a
Let's compare notes and not be
right.
able
We'll have a contest. John Lehman, a new face in the crowd. Welcome. And thanks for the answer, chaps. By the way, Udemy has a flash sale for another 3 hours. And the ones that with that handsome chap, Mr. Meyers, are included, 80% off.
Wow. Okay. So
you got an hour and a half with us. That gives you an hour and a half over there.
I would jump on it. If you don't already have access to the videos, when Udemy makes sales on our products, we can't even provide them to you cheaper. So do it.
Yep,
if you haven't already got it. And don't tell my salespeople I'm saying this, but Udemy products are tied to your account. They don't go away. So if you think you're going to go on to Network Plus after this, if you're doing A Plus right now, might be worth your time to jump on the Network Plus videos. And same thing with Security Plus or CySA Plus or Cloud Plus or PenTest Plus, et cetera, et cetera. So depending on where you're at in your studies, take advantage of it.
Right. So Udemy classes are lifetime access. You create an account there, you subscribe to a course, you've got access to it forever. I answer questions, not commonly, but certainly a couple of times a week from people who've taken are still enrolled in A Plus 901. And I don't ask questions. I don't push products unless they ask. So if somebody says, do you think I should switch to 1001 study materials? My answer is, if you want to use the current certification exam, then yes. But some people, no, I just, I've got this commitment to myself. I started 901 and I'm going to get through it all the way. So cool. I answer questions in the 901 forums and other outdated forums.
So Brendan S. asks, Dave and Scott, can you explain what Advanced Host Controller Interface, HCI, is? Dave, you want to take that one?
Sure. So first thing, while it's not pronounced ACI, everybody calls it ACI. So it's ACI mode. And ACI mode is an optimized search and retrieve method to get files off the hard drive. And when we say optimized, we got to look briefly at the non-optimized method, Microsoft's favorite method. And that says we've got an index that lives somewhere on the inside or outside track. In fact, they're both. Sorry, outside track and middle track is usually where they are. And what happens is when it's time to read a file, the hard drive has to go and read the first index entry and then go and pick that piece up. And then he has to go back and read the next index entry and do it again and do it again and do it again. And it's really not the worst thing in the world if the file is saved in a sequential series of blocks or clusters or sectors, fill in the blank. But of course, hard drives become fragmented over time, and that becomes a very cumbersome process, especially as we're talking about large files. So what ACI does is really cool. He reads the entire index. It reads the entire index and says, okay, chunk 1 is in here and chunk 2 is out there and chunk 3 is over here. And with that information, he can make one head sweep, stop here, wait for the sector to come under it, move in a little bit, wait for the sector to come under it, and do that. So in one fell swoop, he picks up all of the chunks. Now the chunks aren't in order, of course, but they get saved in the hard drive's memory or potentially in driver memory, depending on how ACI is implemented. And then they get reshuffled up into correct order and sent over into RAM. So it's a blindingly fast process compared to non-ACI. So ACI is a great read performance enhancer. The big trick here, you can't change horses midstream. If you prepped your hard drive, formatted it in non-ACI mode, and then you installed Windows on it, and then you said, hey, Dave and Scott said ACI is a good thing, I'm going to go into my BIOS or UEFI and change it, it ain't going to boot. And it's going to look like it's going to start to boot for a while, but it's just going to find itself in a never-ending cycle. Now, the good news is you're probably not going to hurt it. I do this lab all the time in my classes. We go convert it back from ACI to whatever it was, SATA mode or some other mode, and it fixes itself. But if you want that read performance, start by setting ACI mode first before you ever start your installation.
Right. Good stuff. Good stuff, Dave. John. Yeah, okay, good. So we also, Jean says what he did to pass A+ was watch the chapters in the videos that corresponded to the Meyers book, and also did the Professor Messer video course plus the exam cram A+ book. So lots of prep.
Yeah. More input, the better.
Yeah, absolutely. All right, Tullowit.
This one's your question all the way.
Oh yeah, it says at Dave Rush.
Yeah, I know, but you got the better answer.
Let's talk peripherals. Do you guys use computer speakers direct to your PC, a digital amp and bookshelf speakers via an external audio interface like I do, or some other setup? Yes. The answer. So I do have just regular computer speakers hooked up to my desktop system. Absolutely. But I also have, actually show it. For recording stuff, I have a little audio breakout box that is connected to an external microphone and external speakers. So all of these things are in use. When I'm not trying to be quiet, I want to game and feel it, then I'll hook up a regular receiver and full on speakers and basically let the bass rip. So yeah, it's even better than with a subwoofer. If you've got good speakers. So Dave, what's your system like at home?
My gaming rig is down because I've just not gotten around to fixing it. So I've got a laptop with a traditional 2.1 speaker system. And normally 80% of the time, my audio just goes through the little cruddy built-in speakers that are in my HDMI monitor. But if I want something a little bit more sophisticated, and then I'll drive it over into the 2.1 system. And of course, when we take the system on the road,
going down.
Yeah, exactly. When we take the system on the road and I'm doing a show or something like that, then I bring the whole ball of wax.
Right. And I tend to bring, when I'm teaching an A+ class, I'll bring high-end speakers and all kinds of crazy stuff and really terrorize, if I'm teaching in a hotel, the hotel staff or whatever. My students make some noise because it's fun.
Yeah. So Cindy Ansi appears also to have a connection to Italy. She adjusts her IT domains for Italy and then changes the language to Italian in Google. So another interesting way of dealing with country code TLDs.
Very nice.
Jason Silva. I love this. We are always getting new and or at least less frequent people who are coming in more frequently.
Yeah, absolutely. Great.
Oh, good. Got a good turnout today. Whoops, I just did something.
So Jason says, as somebody who's been laid off from a business development role at a security company and wants to, sorry about that, and wants to switch over to a network admin role, I'm studying to crush the A+ cert 22 days from now. So that's somebody who's scheduled his exam.
Yep.
Good for you.
It can be done, Jason.
Good for you, Jason. That's great.
You got to put your heart and soul into it. But Scott and I teach classes sometimes to some federal agencies, very heavily motivated people who have
guns.
5, 10, 11, 12 days. 11 days.
Yeah.
To do everything. So we knock it out with them for 8 hours a day. They study for another 2, 3, 4 hours that night. So we'll do it 5 days for the first week, 4 days for the second week. They're studying like crazy on the weekend as well. And then they walk in the door to the test center on Friday morning of the second week, take the first test, pass it, take the second test, pass it, and moving on. So if you've got that kind of motivation, if you can knock yourself out for 21 days, that gives you a little breathing room, 22 days.
That's great. Good luck.
Yeah, and you probably already got something done.
Yep.
Here comes them Aggies. Those who define acronyms are always more effective communicators. Much appreciated, Scott. Good for you.
You're welcome. I think they're
Scott, Mike defines his acronyms. He's just not always right.
That's what I'm here for.
Another question for you from Jason. I'll read it. With this certification and job experience, wait, let me go back up here. Okay, so that was, yeah, so he's talking about his existing job experience. He's laid off in the business development role at a security company. So he wants to know then, with A+ certification and his existing experience, is that enough in a crowded job market?
It depends on how much network, I mean, because being a network administrator is a specialized set of skills that A+ certification does not cover. A+ certification will teach you how to make local area networks and how networks work in general, and certainly could get you into the door as a network tech, possibly. But a network administrator, then you need to have more information on, more knowledge of, depending on which network you have, whether it's Windows-based domain or whether it's a Linux network, sorry, brain going out the window there, or Macintosh. So having some specialized skill in how to set those networks up and administer them, that's something you would need to go beyond A+. But it might just be a week of studying Network Plus, or a week of studying for a Microsoft certification and not even taking it, but just being able to go into whatever job you're applying for and saying, yeah, I've got the chops and I can do this job. So, yeah. Very good.
TK reminds us some of the other pieces that got added into CCNA programming, Python automation. I'm seeing a lot more about Python automation as a specific focus lately.
Yep. I mean,
he joins your crowd. He's got a Focusrite as well, and he makes music like you.
There you go. I like that. And of course, he mentions, and one for my subwoofer so I can turn that up or down desperately. Yeah, it's usually when I don't necessarily hear the people coming home from wherever they're at. So it's usually the loud banging on my study. Turn that thing down.
Including the guy across the street who plays for the Houston Symphony Orchestra.
Yeah, well, that's true.
Andre says, at Scott Jernigan, I'm worried this COVID stuff might be here for a long time. So getting together to make new videos might be some time. That's kind of true. Go ahead, Scott.
Okay, so that is true. But we're looking at ways to make episodes entertaining as well as functional episodes using the tools we have, like Zoom, which is what we're using to go split screen at you. There's no reason we can't use plenty of other tools. Mike and Dave, when he's solo, use a tool called OBS, which stands for something.
Well, I don't think I've ever known.
Somebody
on here will know. They use OBS,
right? That offers different functionality than Zoom has. We also have Teams that have a bunch of different options for sharing and recording. And with a new scriptwriter in the house, I think we can, between us, come up with some really creative and fun stuff. So yeah, it won't be in person, but that's okay.
Yeah, and I got to tell you, I mean, Scott right now has been for several months doing some shooting with him and family members for not this kind of purpose. Now, you won't find them on Udemy, but for some of our other product offerings. So we've got shooting going on in a limited way. And I think what's going to happen is demand is going to push, and we're going to get to the point that says, hey, you know what? If 2 or 3 of us are healthy, let's head on down to the studio and knock something out for a day. And then the editing group and the support folks and all that can go back to their homes and edit it all up together. So,
yep. I think it's going to be fun.
Alice Potsy says, Jason Dion talks so fast. He does, and he admits it. He's proud of it, or at least he's used to it.
That is true. Let's
Greetings,
see.
Falak. Nice to see you, sir.
Oh, so Alice says she needs subtitles. Which, that helps.
Yeah.
Very much helps.
Hey, we got a lot of people come in since we got started. Maybe you'll let everybody know why we're here today.
Okay, so welcome to all the new people. We are here today. We specifically, Scott Jernigan and Dave Rush, editor-in-chief for Total Seminars, senior instructor for Total Seminars, because Mike Meyers, although he would normally be doing this show, is somewhere in the north, hanging out in Yellowstone National Park, seeing very cool stuff and probably getting chased by bears. And, hopefully he'll get a Yogi sighting and a little boo-boo or something.
Did you see all that nonsense in the news today about protecting you and your friends from bears? The National Park Service put out early last week some kind of big warning that says effectively, friends don't let friends get eaten by bears. And they are advising people that if they encounter a bear, not to shove your weaker associate and sacrifice them for you. Really, this is like,
seriously?
Yeah, they think this is really important. And they're offering all kinds of advice on how to correctly escape from bears when you're alone or when you're with someone.
Throw your food at them and run. That's what they really want.
I've always had the philosophy when I dive, there's a reason that you dive with a buddy and why you carry a knife. So when you encounter sharks, man, stab your buddy and swim like crazy.
Wow. Remind me never to go camping with you, Dave.
Yeah, you're probably not. Andre has a philosophy of network troubleshooting. Network plus, mess things up, press reset, get back to factory default.
Absolutely. Don't be afraid.
It may not be something I do every time, but that's certainly a tool in your quiver.
All right.
There it is. It was a Texas Aggie who doesn't like Star Wars. Dude, you're around here, man. Come on down sometimes. You know what we've done at the office, 1995 Aggie? Aggie band, not Aggie band. I missed that for a second. Very good. On rare occasion, quarterly, maybe a couple of times a year, we'll set up a big screen and a projector and adult beverages in the studio and watch a movie. And the last time we did that was Princess Bride, and oh my gosh, we had such a good time.
Absolutely. Fun. If you have the right toys, you might as well use them, Right.
Zhao's a Lego fan. Actually, I think it's kind of an addiction. I even lie about the money I spend on it. I'm currently lighting some Lego. Okay. Lighting some Lego. Very good.
Excellent. Falak is here. Hey, welcome. Okay. Question from Tomas.
Yeah.
If you had to choose between two, what would you think causes the intermittent Wi-Fi connectivity? Channels or frequency?
Channels and frequency are the same thing, Tomas. So channel this is frequency this, and channel that is frequency that. So both of them imply some kind of interference thing, which is the usual reason for Wi-Fi intermittent. So if you're saying channels or frequency because they are in nearby conflict with somebody on the same channel, the same frequency, that's possible. Are you getting something different out of that, Scott?
No, that's what I'm getting.
Okay. So not clear what's the relationship between them. Channels are frequency. Channel 1 is 2.401 through 2.452 gigahertz. I'm making up numbers. You get the idea.
What he might be talking about is whether the Wi-Fi is running at 2.4 gigahertz or whether it's running at 5 gigahertz.
Okay.
To distinguish.
Right. So 5 gigahertz also has channels, a lot more of them, but
right.
And wider. But maybe you can clarify that a little more, Tomas.
Okay. Cindy, Star Wars has all the lessons of life, but Star Trek is the doctorate program.
Yeah, so to heck with everything I ever learned in life, I learned in kindergarten. I learned from Will Shatner and also Will Riker.
There you go. Absolutely.
They had something in common.
And Tullowit. Oh, fine.
You go, Tullowit.
Galactica.
Yeah, the original B5 definitely closed up too soon. Dave Rogers. Hi, Dave. Nice to see you. I'm using Total Seminars 1002 exam practice questions. Could you suggest another source of 1002 questions? Yes. Total Tester Online at totalseminars.com. We use a subset of the question pool from Total Tester for I'm presuming that you're using the practice test on Udemy with the 390 question test. Our Total Tester has 1,200 questions in it.
Right.
And you can use Total Tester to configure how you want to take a test. I want to take a timed or untimed test. I want to take a test with or without hints. I want to take a test that has the same weighting of weight, if you want to call it that word for better, not the word delay, but the word heaviness. So it's weighted that 19% of your questions will be from domain 1 and 22.3% of your questions will be from domain 2. Now, if you're already using that and you want more questions, yeah, there's plenty of other ones out there. I can't think, what, Examgram? The Examgram's a book.
No, Jason Dion is
Yeah,
probably,
Jason. Yeah, Jason's got questions.
There's also
his questions are part of his course, right? You have to get his course because he integrates all of his 3 products.
I thought they were separated like ours, but
no, definitely not. No, you and I have seen his presentation where he extols the virtue of doing it as an integrated.
Right. I see what you mean. Yes. Yep, that is correct. Jean asking the question. This hurts, man. I'm working on them. I'm working on the Total Sims for Security Plus right now.
He really is.
That is my summertime project.
Yep.
I should have been done, but the whole lockdown has made our productivity different. We spend a lot more time doing things like this than we do just grinding through new product. But I am working on them directly and specifically. It's already August, maybe a month, I would guess. I should be able to do it.
Nice.
So that's at least the first pass. So that's what my goal is.
All right, we're in the first hour here. I'm going to buzz by some of these thin ones and find some questions.
We've already got an entire hour.
Yeah, I know. It goes so fast, doesn't it?
Yeah, Jao says Telegram is an alternative to WhatsApp.
Right.
Oh, there we go. Okay, cool.
Yeah, I'm sliding past a little further down from Lego commentary.
Lots of Legos.
It would be nice for
all of you Lego addicts.
Yep. Trevor, Total Sims will be available for Sec Plus, according to Scott, in very short order. So be watching the skies.
Yep.
Oh man, you guys are just Lego heads. Go, go, go. Yeah, Alice is with us on Linux Plus. We agree. Telowitz says it became ITF Plus the day that Scott made peanut butter and jelly sandwiches.
Did you ever see that video, Dave?
Of course I did.
Yeah, that was a fun one to make too.
Yeah.
Teaching programming through peanut butter and jelly.
Greg Davis.
Gotta get creative with this stuff, man.
Greg Davis's son did Strata and ITF in high school.
Awesome.
Probably your stuff. Falak, can a default gateway has IPv4 and IPv6 address at the same time? At page 194 Sec Plus, Mike, it shows both after executing ipconfig command. Absolutely. My router does that. My default gateway does that. They all do. So your computer, your Windows computer, your Linux machine, your Mac machine, they all support dual stack, and all modern Soho routers and I imagine enterprise routers also fully support dual stack, which means both flavors of IP addresses at the same time.
Right. They happily live next to each other.
Cindy and Alice have found each other.
Excellent.
Bad news, Cindy. You found Alice, but I think she says she's here in the States now. Greetings from Michigan, says Samuel Ruiz. Sorry about that. Using Total Seminars to study for my A+. Excellent. We're very glad to hear that. And you'll want to use it for your Net Plus and your Security Plus and your Cloud Plus and your CEH Plus, and the list goes on. Dang it, I did it again.
Wait, did you just read the "we don't curse here"? Is that why you just said "dang it"?
About as clean as I get, man.
Oh, come on, Aaron, stare it. We don't have any Ohio State fans here.
Hey, you know what? I was going to make a Michigan Ohio State reference since you said Michigan, and the only thing I'll say, I don't bash unless I'm in the office, and our other devoted person who went to Michigan is there, but
whose name
it looks like tomorrow Michigan and Ohio State and the other more than 10 folks are going to announce the cancellation of the Big Ten Conference fall. Looks like Pac-12 is going to announce tomorrow, and probably the other three in the Power Five will fall by the end of the week. So,
yeah,
my alma mater conference, the Mid-America Conference, MAC, they announced over the weekend the cancellation. So we're leading the way in quitting.
We're number one. Wow.
Okay, yeah, I see all my Ohio buddies in there. Those of you who don't know, I'm from Ohio, but I've been in Texas 25 years. I'm an honorary Texan now. Well, longer than that, I'm about 30 years now. Yeah, there it is. LBOE spotted your scarlet.
That's exactly right. Yep. All right. What else we got going here? Thanks.
Well, Jason Silva says Mike's book is in his bedside table. So many people have said that's a good sleep aid.
Michael put you right to sleep. That's the wait.
Have to go install a shower head. Okay, Jason. See you next time. We'll be back Wednesday. Mike should be here with Dr. Stanger, and if he's not, Scott will be here with Dr. Sanger, and I'm back here on Friday doing Raspberry Pi stuff.
That's right.
Open broadcasting software. Thank you, LBOE.
No, it's Tulowit. Oh, and Tulowit said the same thing. Absolutely.
Yeah. We're in agreement.
Thank you.
You want this one from Malik Cole? Is it possible to pass the A+ test with only the video and practice test?
Yes. Yes, it is. But put in the time.
That's the answer. It's yes.
Yeah, it's yes. But put in the time on practicing with actual hardware and software and stuff. So nothing is going to beat the hands-on to help sync everything into your brain. So don't just watch videos and practice and do the practice tests. Also physically do the stuff.
Yeah, if you see Mike demonstrating the net command or the net stat or NBT stat, sorry about the shake there, try it. You're not going to hurt your computer, and you get to experiment with it, and it sinks in. You know the deal we mentioned earlier, the more senses that you get involved, including touch and sight and sound and experience, the better it will hold and sink in. There's the word.
Absolutely.
Never be the slowest person in a group when you encounter a bear. Got it,
Aaron. Mario. OBS could be a little brown cherry, except it would be.
I found a road I so want to go down, but I'm not. So moving on.
Dave has we have a saying in the office that there's a line.
I don't see lines.
The line, and Dave often just jumps right past it by several paces.
I don't know from lines.
Yeah.
Okay, lots of people offering good study advice.
Absolutely.
Hey, we're getting near an end here.
Yep, we
I
are.
might get to do a mini presentation. I'll do half of what I had prepped.
So I think Alice is mentioning Falak Khan's question, but I think you addressed that quite nicely on the IPv4 versus IPv6.
Right.
So I think we got
it. Alice, if you missed that, I don't think you did, but routers, Soho routers, and workstations all work simultaneously with IPv4 and IPv6.
Tulowit, I'm still waiting for Galaxy Quest 2.
I
right?
like Galaxy Quest. That's a secret favorite.
Absolutely.
I don't think there's any way they could do it again. Everybody's aging out pretty good, but oh man, Alice is taking a shot at Scott. Promises. You can't imagine how hard Scott works. He did. I work on weekends. We're trapped here. I sit in front of my computer. It's what I do. And hey, while I'm at it, I'll answer questions and I'll do whatever. Scott has to enjoy his weekends because he murders himself every weekday working on so many projects that the company dumps on him and allows him to do. So I assure you, we hear his daily reports and we give him daily feedback and input on his Sec Plus. They're coming. And I know he's made a lot of headway.
We're getting there.
Yep. Jean Dorval quotes Mike, heat and pressure make diamonds. Tomas. Okay, so here's a clarification from Tomas. What I meant by channel versus frequency is that, for example, you run on 2.4 gigahertz channel 1 and experience connectivity issues. Would you first change channel to maybe 6 or to 5 gigahertz? Yeah, if I have intermittent issues, short of having an analyzer, which is really the first thing I'm going to do, I'm going to fire up a Wi-Fi analyzer on an Android phone or on a laptop or a notebook or something like that and see if anybody else is on that frequency with me. If I don't have that, there's one of two guesses that says why you're having intermittence. One of them is devices, stuff between your wireless access point and your host. Is there a wall? Is there a potted plant? Is there other things? In that case, I'm going to try and maybe move around if I've got a portable or I can test it on my phone or something like that. And if that's not a likely possibility, then yeah, change channel. But you can't just randomly change channels and get a real measurable result without luck. So the real first answer is get an analyzer. There's free downloads, billions of them for Android phones and not so many for iPhones. Okay, great. Yeah, so I use Wi-Fi analyzer on my Android and Scott will tell you what he's got on his iPhone. So best to look it out and try to come up with an answer that's better than a guess. But if you can't do that, yeah, try another channel. 5 gigahertz is a broader spectrum, so you got a better chance of going up there if your devices support it. If you're talking about 802.11g, then it's not going to work on 5 gigahertz. If you're talking about AC, it will. Or
yeah,
N.
I use Net Analyzer
okay.
and Wi-Fi Around.
Oh, I don't know that one.
A good pair of tools on my iPhone. So those were both free downloads. And those were just 2 of many. So jump on it.
Tullowit, I do this all the time. Tullowit says, what would happen if you turned off IPv4 and only went with IPv6? So I have IPv6 traffic coming from, or not traffic, assignments coming from my ISP. So in theory, I am fully IPv6 capable. I have sent down from, that's not DHCP and IPv6, but their system has sent me down the IP address of an IPv6 based DNS server. So I would have everything that I need to operate on the internet exclusively on IPv6. But when I turn off IPv4, I am totally cut off. And Scott's in the same boat. Mike, on the other hand, can turn off IPv4 and mostly totally function on IPv6. So there's no clear answer. It's really all about the support that your ISP is providing. And the best answer for that is go turn off IPv4 and see what happens.
The worst that can happen is your system just won't connect.
Yeah. Turn it back on, you're back in biz.
Yep.
TK, I'm imagining, what if all the IT expert who helped to pass all the exams was hired by Total SEM and provided one-on-one instructor service in the future? I'm the first one to apply. Yes, we could do that. I don't think you could afford what we would have to charge you.
Other way around, right? We would, if we hired everybody, there's only so much money to go around, right?
Right. Yep. R.I.P. Big Ten.
$1 a day. You could be an instructor for Total Seminars too.
Here's one for you from Jean de Raval. After A+ and Network Plus, what are the certs or training would I need to be a system administrator?
So again, it depends on what the system, in what system the enterprise that you're going to work in, what they use. So if, for example, it's a Windows domain, then going and looking at some early Microsoft certifications would make sense to get some very specific Windows information. If it's a Linux-based system that you're going to try to administer, then going and getting Linux Plus certified and going into the specific, I would say Linux Plus certified to start with. And then when you find out what specific type of Linux is in use in that enterprise, then go with that. So it depends.
Yeah. Enterprise tends to live on Red Hat, and small enterprises and homes are Ubuntu's. Yep. And there's plenty of others. Hi, John Lehman. Good to see you again. What do you learned gentlemen of geekery think the direction of IT security and networking will go in the next 5 to 10 years? Cloud, Docker, computers are all pie-sized, or will we live in a Judge Dredd dystopia?
Definitely the latter. Yeah, definitely.
Yeah, we're already in the edges of dystopia. So
next 5 to 10 years, man, that's a long time in IT.
Really is.
It's especially with the incredible advances that are just now happening in VR. There's a lot of directions we could go. 5 years cloud, absolutely. Docker for software as a service, and yes, so many.
Docker's the leader now. They're a great container thing. In 5 to 10 years, there may be another replacement for Docker the company, or Docker the technology, the container technology.
Yep.
It's really tough to be a futurist in this industry. There's so rapid change.
So what I could say and can say is that so much of our technology in desktop systems is being driven by technological innovations in handheld systems. And a lot of the technology that's pushing smartphones and tablets into the future is getting propagated back down into our regular systems. So Apple is talking about going with a ARM-based processor for the next version of Mac OS. Talk about convergence of technologies. Mm-hmm. So I don't see that we're going to lose the desktop, but it might be transformed into something a little more portable or transparent, or none of us really like having 4 or 5 monitors on a desk because it takes up so much space. It's much prettier now than it was back in the CRT days, but it's still a lot of real estate. It would be nicer if I could have a virtual screen that would pop up in front of me. Cloud is huge, though, and is not going to go away anytime soon.
Alice points out another use for Mike's book can be used as a blunt instrument.
And it makes a great doorstop too, Alice.
Yeah.
And it makes a good microphone stand. I've used it for.
You've used it as a monitor stand. You've got that stack of books for your dual monitors.
I have. Yep, just to make them all the right height.
Yep. I agree with you, Tullowit. You can't beat that new motherboard smell.
A taste of a new DDR4 RAM chip.
Let's see. LBOE jokes with friends. I'm not going to do jokes. I got it. Patiently waiting. Won't be too long of a wait, Alice. He's on it. All right, Greg Davis, if you haven't already left, see ya. Granddaughter just got here. Yeah, that's the priority. Go see those granddaughters. Ooh, okay. We're getting down to the bitter here. That's cool. Oh, you said something I have to tell everybody about your doorstop. Scott bought decades ago a SCSI hard drive, 80 megabytes. Those are the stories we tell. Like back in my day, it weighs, I don't know, 14, 15 pounds.
Yeah.
It might even work still, but he uses that as a doorstop around the office. So
Yeah.
books aren't your only bet.
It's actually an ESDI drive.
Oh, is that SD? Okay.
Yeah. And I still have the controller card for it.
Thank goodness.
Why not keep ancient technology around?
Right. I was redoing the studio here a week and a half ago or so, and I have a drawer full of computer antique ware. And so I boxed it all up. And when I went down to the office early last week to do a task down there, I brought it all down for Michael Smyer to photograph or yet more antique stuff. And then it's going into Uncle Dumpster or Hazmat or wherever it's going.
So LBOE, how many people here are using YouTube dark theme? I won't use the light theme anymore.
I use dark theme on almost everything.
Yeah, I think I'm the last holdout at Total Seminars, still using the light themes, but everybody else has gone dark.
Yeah.
So.
And you Brave users who use the browser called Brave, love that in dark.
That's funny. I'm running that in light as well.
Yeah, of course. For both of us, what IoT devices do you guys use at home? I'm slowly automating my home. I have a Hubridge and lights, and I can control everything with Google Home Minis. Welcome to the two most paranoid guys in, second two most paranoid guys in Total Seminars. I have no home automation whatsoever. Certainly nothing that connects to a central service like Google or Amazon or any of those things. I don't have a Ring doorbell or cameras. I certainly have automated things. There are things that I control personally with Wi-Fi, but no IoT. There is nothing that calls home except for right here in-house.
And so Mike Meyers would tell you the same thing, that he had experimented with Google Home devices, and then suddenly at some point when the Google device started answering him questions that he hadn't asked yet, he's like, wait a minute, and he just killed it all. So
you're on your own for a second there. I'm going to come back in a second to answer E. White.
No problem. Dave is actually wearing pants, unlike the rest of people in Zoom.
I was not. You just couldn't see my lower legs.
I, on the other hand, love IoT stuff. I think it's fantastic, and I don't really care if Amazon knows everything that I do in my house or gets information on questions that I ask of Alexa, which is in multiple rooms in my house. I have lights that are controlled, that I can control on the internet, that I can control via my smartphone. I can control my heating and cooling, my AC unit. Not much heating happens here in Houston, but cooling definitely happens. So I'll be able to turn things down as I'm headed home from work via the internet. And yeah, so I enjoy the Internet of Things, and am implementing even more of it as we speak. So there you go. This is the fun part about working with people like Dave and Mike, is because we all come at technology from different angles. And I mean, Dave and Mike are Android
paranoid,
right? Android fanatics, and Michael and I are iOS fanatics. So we can approach the same technology or similar technology from different angles and have lively, heated discussions. Yeah, and it's fun.
Okay, so E. White says pie-sized. What is pie-sized?
Okay,
you asked that
Dave.
question. I'll be brief. I could do a 4-hour presentation, but so there is a computer out there called a Raspberry Pi. It's called an SBC, a single board computer, and it looks like this, quite literally the size of a deck of cards, maybe even a little smaller. little bigger than a credit card. This is a 4-core, 4 gigabyte, this one's 4 gigabytes, computer that's designed to run Linux. And you can, that's the bottom line, that's its size. It won't do everything that your big Intel or Mac desktop does today, but it's very powerful, it's very functional. And I do a Friday live presentation every Friday at this same time, where we talk about Raspberry Pis, how to use them to learn and study the various CompTIA Plus certifications, and then we go above and beyond. This, by the way, is also a Raspberry Pi. It's their smaller, more diminutive version. This thing is $10, by the way, and the one I just held up is $35. So the future is certainly smaller. We've been doing that for decades. When you look at the first PCs and the first powerful PCs and compare them to today's form factor, it's a whole different animal. But Pi size, very small little single board computers, and this isn't the only game in town. There's about 35 different Pi-sized computers out there for hobbyists and learning and blah, blah, blah. Book as a weapon, BAAW. This whole AAW, there's a meme there that we're not taking advantage of, and we should. Because everybody keeps coming. Somebody came up with printing as a service last week. LBOE answers for me. Thank you, buddy.
Monitor as a service. I like it.
That's. I try to imagine when people say things like this. It's kind of like trying to imagine what chairs would look like if people's knees bent backward instead of forward. And
as a service, really? It's a virtual chair.
Yeah.
Just don't go with clothing as a service, okay?
Cheers.
Don't go there.
Scott and Dave second 2 most paranoid. Yes, Mike is decidedly much more paranoid than I am, and I carry a pretty high degree. Parandroid. Parandroid. So what home security cameras do you guys recommend? I'm having a hard time deciding on a brand. Senor Scott, you want that?
I live in a very old house. And for Houston, it's about 100 years old. So it's one of the oldest houses in the city. And I have solid walls, and electrical is still knob and tube. Have somebody really old explain that to you. So I would have to set up security cameras properly. I would have to probably have my house gutted and rewired. So I don't have anything.
Yeah, what Mike uses and what I just saw installed in our offices when I was visiting last week are Armcrest cameras. Those are consumer and small business level, even small enterprise, I think. Amcrest. I'm sorry, I always add that extra arm. Yes, yeah. Amcrest. So those are fine cameras. They're wired or wireless with speaker and mic inputs and outputs. And good software so that you can put, multiple images on there. If you want to open up your wallets and put commercial security cameras in, then you're talking about Sony's, and this one starts with a P. But for homes, very popular. What you want to do, read up before you buy, and look in particular as you do your online searches with Google or whatever, to see if there have been any scandals on a particular vendor that you're looking at for whether or not they're phoning home back to the Far East. Mike thinks that the Amcrest provide much less external telemetry than many of the other cameras that he's practiced with.
So
go ahead.
John
asks,
are you guys ever going to make total SIMS products for lifetime instead of 1 year? So the concept of the 1 year is actually more a 1 year versus 3 months was where we initially made the discussion, or even on a month-by-month basis. And we just kind of arbitrarily settled on 1 year as you should have already taken the certification at that point, right? And if you haven't, then that deadline of when your stuff's going to run out should be that extra kick in the pants. Says, oh boy, it's time for me to get this done because I'm running out of time. So we needed to put some kind of end date on it. So I hadn't really thought about doing lifetime because the certifications aren't lifetime.
Right.
You know, they change every 3 years. And so it'll be obsolete within, you know, a year or two after you get it anyway. So that's my thoughts on it.
Yep. That's you and the sales department and the other management team. So
yep.
I support your decisions fully. Trevor?
Thank you, Dave. I appreciate that.
Trevor, is Raspberry Pi considered SoC, a system on a chip? Absolutely. It's a completely integrated system. Everything that you need in there. The RAM is on the chip. Some of the I/O is on the chip. The CPU, the ARM 75 cores on there. Yes, it is a decided SoC. I'm going to do that.
In the video as well. Yeah.
Yeah, right. So yeah, fire in some questions, but I've got a couple of presentations that I prepped. If we did get slow, and I do half of one of them, that's kind of cool. It's actually very quick and hopefully interesting. And then if and when Scott and I ever get to do this again, Mike is trapped in the wilds or stuck under a bear, then I can expand on it, or not expand on it. I can move it to a related topic. It's very kind of cool, and I've created a whole series of stuff that's actually pretty interesting. Clothing as a service has been done, right? There are subscription clothing services out there. One of our people in the office takes advantage of that. The head of the production department uses clothing. She'll order clothes, wear some of them, send some back, exchange them. Yeah, it's really cool. I don't think they call it CAS, but I love the idea.
I'll come back to LBO's question, but Tuluit, driving as a service, that sounds like a really bad idea. Although we're getting close on that too, right? I mean,
yeah, right.
I'm super excited about self-driving cars. Be able to read a novel while driving. I mean, I do anyway, but I'm not supposed to. That would be fun. I'm definitely looking forward to it. So go to games right now. I just literally came up with this one.
Ooh.
As per our discussion last week.
Oh yeah. Yeah. Welcome back to Red Baron, baby.
Wow. Yeah, I found this.
Just a pizza.
All of 1999, I think. 98. That's not my go-to.
Yep. Yeah,
So,
my plan is the game again this week. I have been away from it forever. I'm going to pick up where I left off. I picked up some new versions of Borderlands at the last Steam sale. There's another Steam sale that went on yesterday. It had some good stuff, but I didn't get a chance to look. If it's still around, we'll go with that. It
was the Doom franchise.
Yeah,
it went on sale, and some other stuff from that publisher.
Yeah.
So I'm using. What am I doing? Borderlands 3. I still play Counter-Strike Go, Global Offensive, in case you wanted to know what the Go stood for.
Conan and Civ.
And Civilization 6 and Conan Exiles. I'm still playing a lot of Rocket League. Usually when I can't sleep at night, it's one of those really addictive games where you're driving around in a car inside of a auditorium playing soccer, football, and you blow up other cars and you do all kinds of ridiculous things that have no bearing on physics whatsoever. It's one of those games that it's really, really easy to be bad at. And I'm really
the one where you have to hit the ball while driving cars around.
Right.
Ben is totally into that. My son.
Yeah, it's just one of those things that it's a beer and pretzels game, I guess is how we call it here in the States. But yeah, it's one of those.
I still like Trackmania.
And Trackmania forever. I still love it. I have every single one of them at this point. So go to games.
Wants to know. I'm sorry. Go ahead.
I said go to games, and Brendan responded,
Alice wants to know Pi versus Arduino. So I don't see them as a versus, Alice. I see Pi as a computer that's expandable. Arduino, I see as the heart of as a controller type system. And I'm not going to run Linux on it. I'm not going to do much user interaction between them, and certainly integrating the two of them, definitely way to go. But so both, very different devices and very different uses. Vitamin P. Oh God. Bernie Mandela, that looks like Scott, it's time for you to do your little thing there.
If it gets a little farther beyond it, I'll cut off.
You can tell Red Baron's Game Fun because it says 3D.
That's right. That's right. Actually, the 3D version was horrible. They rushed it out after the lead developer had quit. It was buggy and unplayable. Yeah, it was really bad, sadly.
Brendan liked Load Runner on Win95, hasn't been ported to it. I don't know Load Runner. I don't remember that.
I don't remember that one either.
LODE. Sounds like
like a side-scrolling game.
Yeah.
I don't remember.
Okay, well, Tolo remembers.
Yep.
Rocket League, extra points. You gotta get rid of somebody there, bud.
Got rid of him.
Thank you.
Uh-huh.
Lots of Rocket League followers.
Mm-hmm.
Man, I can't keep track. I know an MORPG and what is a CRPG game? What kind of role-playing game?
Crappy role-playing game?
There you go. Works for me.
Just kidding.
Speaking of games and tech, has anyone tried Super Tux Kart? I have not. Open source version of Mario Kart. And Brandon says, yes, it's a side scroller, run around collecting things on the map while avoiding bad guys.
Nice.
Mario.
Cool. All right. Looks like we are running down on questions. Dave, you said you had a...
Yeah, I got a quickie here. Let me do a quickie little presentation for you. It came from a question that popped up about 2 months ago, and a lot of side discussion about it. And the short version is, I guess it's two questions. Where do the MAC addresses in Ethernet cards come from, and can there be duplicates? So let me whip open my little file here quick. I'm only going to take about 6 or 7 minutes on this. We'll do the speed version. Oh, that's weird. I closed that file. Stand by. I have notes because I'm old. People are inventing names for CRPG.
Yep.
Okay, the quickie background goes like this. Ethernet gets invented by a guy named Dr. Robert Metcalf, who's the head, or at least was at the time, the head of a company called 3Com. He and DEC and a bunch of other organizations and companies get together and they invent what becomes Ethernet. And there's a long, great story about how Ethernet got its name, and we don't care. But along the way, he had to invent everything, or they had to invent everything. They had to invent the wires and the voltages and the signals and and what they did is they created this protocol that was modeled after a communications protocol that he knew, which was human communications. There's all kinds of neat rules about human communications, and some of them are subtle, and we take them for granted, and we're not explicit about them. For instance, what I'm doing right now, because of body language and because of the technology, before everything that I or Scott says, we have an implied intended receiver. It's everybody, right? I'm doing a broadcast here if this were Ethernet. Sometimes I'll talk to Scott, hey, maybe you want to check this question. So, well, I didn't say, Scott, maybe you want to check the question. You guys all knew that it was specific to Scott. And likewise, you know who is sending this stuff. It's me, or it's Scott when he's talking, or it's you when you're posting a message, because we see your name on there, and sometimes you even specify that. So this is what Metcalf did. He said we have to build into every network device some kind of name, and then whenever that network device communicates, he's going to send out an explicit name of the intended recipient, followed by an explicit name of the sender. That way, if everybody were blindfolded and had the same voice, and it were coming in from speakers in all over the room, we would all still know who's getting talked to and who's doing the talking. So to create that naming system, they said, you know what? If we had 48 ones and zeros, 48 bits, we could make a heck of a lot of names. And so they did. So every network interface card, Ethernet network interface card, that's been made since the standard was set up, excuse me, it has a 48-bit number burned into it. And that number is unique. And that's where we're going to go with this conversation. How is it unique? Well, first of all, 3Com owns the patents on this stuff, or did before they expired. And they contracted a big standards body, the IEEE, the Industrial Electrical and Electronic Engineers Association, to handle the licensing and distribution of these addresses, these MAC addresses, media access control, and that just means name of the card. And so what they did is they said, well, all right, at least this is the what everybody thinks happens, and there's some truth to it. They said, tell you what, if Joe Company wants to start making Ethernet network interface cards, they're going to come to us and they're going to buy a license. And what we'll do is we will assign to them a pattern in the first 24 bits that they have to keep forever. And they will be able to use the second set of 24 bits and assign them sequentially. 2 to the 24th is 16 million. So a license will get you 16 million unique numbers. And if you run out of licenses, you've made 16 million cards and you want to buy another block of 1 million, then you call up IEEE and you license another block. And they will never give away that original 24-bit pattern that was assigned to you. So from that perspective, no duplication. All right, let me show you a slide.
Okay.
We go here, we go here. We go to this slide and we share it. Okay, so the truth of the matter is you don't have to buy a block of 16 million addresses. They have 3 different sets of block sizes, but you're always going to have a 48 set of bits and a certain number are going to set aside. So this is one of their licenses that they have. They have 3 of them. MAS, S is for small. You get a small number of addresses that you can create. And what happens is IEEE will assign the first 36 bytes, not 24, but all 36 bytes of a MAC address, and the licensee will only have the last 12 bits to work with. 2 to the 12th is 4096, so they can do 4096 cards, and then they run out. They have to go buy another block. So to buy that license costs you $755 as of last week's pricing when I created this little presentation. And you can do that with a wink and a handshake, with a form sent over to IEEE and a check, and they will send you back an email that says, okay, here's your block. And that's your documentation. If you want hard code documentation, hard physical copy, then you got to pay them another $200. Now you will automatically be placed in their database, which is publicly searchable. Your company will, whatever you're registered as. So if you want to remain anonymous for some reason and not in that database, every year you got to pay another $1,220. So that's their small assignment. You can license for about $800, 4096 MAC addresses, where you only get to change the last 12 bytes. So the speedier version of it, the next size, MA Medium. Here, IEEE is going to assign the first 28 bits of the MAC address to you, and you as a licensee would get to create up to 1 million cards using the last 20 bits, a little over 1 million. and that'll cost you $1,800. So again, this assignment, just like this assignment, is completely unique. IEEE will never assign these same 36 bits to anybody else. So you can't have duplication. If you buy a medium-sized block, a block of 1,000,000, the first 28 bytes or bits are, I said bytes, I should have said bits there, sorry about that. It's always a typo. Why didn't you edit this, Scott? So 20 bits left over, that's unique to you. All 20 bits can be played with, but these 28 bits, IEEE sets them, and that's life. $1,800, the same hard copy contract thing for 200, and the annual anonymity fee is $2,200, $2,300. And then finally, here's the one that everybody believes in, where somebody says, I want to make 16 million of them. So IEEE assigns the first 24 bits of the MAC address. Wow, there's a typo. And again, you would have 24 bits to work with, 2 to the 24th, 16 million cards. This is cool. You can buy a license to make 16 million Ethernet addresses for $3,000. And another $3,500 every year if you want to stay in their anonymity database. All right, that's a quick presentation. I'll do more the next time we get together and talk about where to go from there. But that's why they exist. That's how they get assigned. You can simply apply for one. You don't have to have any special credentials other than your check clears.
Right.
And you can start making network interface cards. Now, let me finish this up. So is it possible there are duplicates? Yes, there are two reasons that a duplicate may exist. One is because the assembly line that burns these numbers into a chip hiccups. So that's accidental, and hopefully quality control catches those. But here's something that happens that's a real pain. If you buy a really cheap network interface card from a Far East wholesaler or something like that, they don't bother to pay the license fee. Some of them don't. Certainly some of them do, of course. So they pick a number and they burn it into every single chip that they make and install onto their network interface cards. So if you buy 2, and this counts for Wi-Fi cards too, or Bluetooth cards, they have MAC addresses. You buy a pair of those or more from the same company, there's every chance you're going to encounter a duplicate. And duplicate MAC addresses on the same network are a major problem. They're on different networks. They're on the other side of routers. MAC addresses don't cross routers, no problem. But you could have 2 in the same computer. Your computer would never know which MAC address is supposed to be receiving those. If they're on different computers, you'll get either intermittent communication on those 2 different computers, or one will totally get shut out and the other one will work. So we don't want ever 2 MAC addresses with the same. There's a fix for that. I'll tell you how to spoof MAC addresses in another life. Okay, quick and painless.
Yep, very nice. Thank you.
Thank you.
Except for the typos.
Man, you know, it's just too easy to get too close to a product, isn't it?
Yep, it is. That's why.
Go ahead.
That's why with all of our products, nothing I write goes out unedited. Certainly nothing Mike writes goes out unedited. And even with multiple edits, we still have typos. I mean, it's like, hello English. Yeah. Mm-hmm. But
all right, did you find any good questions while I was doing that?
There was a question on, Thomas Robinson asks, why is the USA government want to shut down TikTok?
Well, it's an interesting question. It kind of dives deeply into politics.
It does, and I'm not sure I want to go there right now. Although yeah, Andre had the best response, because Trump prefers Twitter? ?
Yeah, humor's going to be the better response on this one than
going to be the better
anything else.
I don't know. I can think of various motivations or what might motivate people to dislike a technology service. People want to ban Facebook. I mean, people.
Yeah, the claim in short is they're concerned that TikTok is phoning home, and people with important information and contacts and things like that are being surreptitiously surveilled and that information. So the government took their first step. They said, we don't want any of our government employees using it because government secrets might get passed on, and now they're expanding it.
Right. So that definitely the short answer. Yeah. Okay, so well, here's another question, right? Okay. TK mentions changing a MAC address, easy enough.
This is the one I highlighted.
Yep. And you got that. But I always believe there's something beneath our OS is hiding to monitor this and keep a record for cybersecurity forensics.
I'm saying no to that, because not only is it a no, but Apple has just introduced a technology where they purposely change MAC addresses on a regular basis. So if you're at a coffee house using their Wi-Fi, things like that. And IPv6 has been, ever since it was introduced or offered as a standard, since it was finalized, changes IP addresses. I don't think anybody is internally within a computer tracking those changes. I guess it's possible, and there's probably some malware that would do it, but I don't think the OSs do.
Here's a fun one. Brendan asks, which portion of the A+ test do you think is tougher, the 1001 or the 1002? So that's funny, because I'm such a hardware guy that 1001 is like, I'm sorry, I put peanut butter on a piece of bread, easy, totally easy, because I'm so into it that I love this stuff. So I found 1002 marginally more difficult. Dave would probably have almost the opposite reaction to that.
I'm a hardware guy too. It's kind of funny how the pendulum has swung on this. The 90X, it was always considered one was tougher and two was easier. It's all about your love, and it's all about how much you study. So if you love hardware the way I do, that one's a lot easier, the 802 or 902. And they do have a lot of scenario stuff in 1001, but 1002 is much more scenario and situational. And I think we're hearing that on average, folks tend to think 1002 is a little tougher than 1001.
Yeah. And John Lehman asks, for the crowd, a duplicate MAC address issue would fall on what OSI layer?
Has anybody in the crowd answered that yet? Because I would like them to answer.
Nope.
Where do MAC addresses live in the OSI model? Well, let's look at it real quickly then. Physical is wires, voltages, currents, connectors, timing, that's signals. So it's got to be higher than that. And we know that the network layer is logical addresses. Network layer is 3. So if for no other reason, MAC addresses live at layer 2. Layer 2 has actually kind of been divided up into a couple of sub layers now, but that's the MAC portion of it.
Right, layer 2. Absolutely. And people were answering as you were talking.
Figured they would. There we go.
Yep. And TK, yeah, TK says, I love hardware too, but I don't have a proper environment to practice. And that becomes hard to gain real knowledge. I totally get that. We're ridiculously spoiled because new technology comes out and we just get it. And we are required to play with it. So yeah, but yeah, I'm very spoiled. Very spoiled.
All right, I'm glad I scrammed your brain. I'm not sure if that was a good thing or a bad thing, but you are welcome. And you're welcome for the typos. Oh, wait, Microsoft can't get a patch out without issues. So I got my doubts that there's sophisticated MAC address tracking. Okay, I can see your point on that. I love hardware too, but I don't have a proper environment. You said that, and that kind of winds that guy up. Data link. No, actually, Chewbacca, it's not data link. Data link is the half of layer 2 that's responsible for controlling when and how a network card is allowed to communicate. Data link is where we implement carrier sense multiple access or carrier sense multiple collision detection or collision avoidance. So it's the one that's got the rules of communication. For instance, an Ethernet card says, I'm not allowed to transmit until I listen to the wire or to the wireless air and see if nobody else is speaking. And if they're not, then I'm allowed to monopolize the media. And that was one of the things that Metcalf did. He said, the communication protocol that I know best is called the polite protocol. Polite says, I'm not allowed to speak when anybody else is speaking. So that's logical link control. MAC is addressing, LLC is when I'm allowed to use the media to transmit. Is Microsoft buying TikTok from China? Maybe. They're talking about it. Actually, what they're talking about is buying the U.S. interest. Hey, we got 4 minutes, Scott. I'm going to start winding things down. And
yeah, we need to start winding it down.
finding,
So yeah, finding hardware to play with. Telewit, that's a good idea. Craigslist, eBay. I would say garage sales, but those don't really exist anymore.
no, Free Cycle, Facebook freebies.
Free Cycle would be good. There are plenty of neighborhood apps. My neighborhood uses something called Nextdoor.
Right, that's worldwide.
Oh, it is? Okay.
Yeah.
So all of these things are good places to find hardware. I just took a bunch of stuff to the Salvation Army.
Right, thrift stores, pawn shops.
Yeah, so lots of good ways. Kevin, we're only streaming for another 3 minutes. So, but
I'll throw the contact info up.
Yep.
And then I'll throw the special up.
Right.
Okay, contacts up.
All right, so if you need to get a hold of us, have some questions that we didn't answer, or questions that you want us to answer, there's our contact information. Mike Meyers is michaelim@totalsim.com. Dave Rush is davr@totalsim.com, or he has his private personal email up there too, drushtexas@yahoo.com. I'm there, scottj@totalsim.com. You can also contact us via Steam if you're gaming and want to game with us. Mike is traveling for the month of August. There's no way he's gaming, but when he does, he'll be Senor Pepe. Dave is Blood Rush TX on Steam, and I'm Scarheart with no E. So easy enough to get a hold of us. You can also call our office. Any messages will get through to us eventually. There's our number, 281-922-4166. We also have an 800 number that you can pick up off our website that would give it a toll-free one as well. So, so this, just because you guys are here and gals, we are offering specials for the AMA, and that is 50% off on all of our Total Tester standalone products. And this is not just ITF Plus or A Plus or Security Plus or Net Plus, but this includes things like Cybersecurity Analyst Plus, PenTest Plus, Cloud Plus, and even AWS certifications. So use the code MMLiveComet through August 16th to get that special discount that is just specifically for you.
Cool. 1 minute.
Let me put that up there.
Any other questions that have popped up that we can do in a minute or less? Wow. Sure. 1 minute to go and 47 questions pop up. Way to go, guys. Do these in the middle of it.
Hey.
Is MAC address included in your router setup? There is a MAC address in your router. It's got a network interface card. It's got a MAC address. And yeah, it's not something, yeah, you may be able to change. I've never changed one on a router, But when your system needs to send a message to it, it has to ARP and learn the MAC address to forward it, to send it there. So, yep.
So let me finish with one more note. Wednesday, Dr. James Stanger of CompTIA, he is their official technology evangelist, is going to be here in the AMA answering your questions, taking your questions, and talking about what he sees as where we're going in security. This is going to be awesome. He's a brilliant guy. He's a great speaker, and he will be here 2 o'clock on Wednesday, Central Daylight Savings Time. And, well, we'll see you then.
Yep, it's time. Thank you, everybody, for coming. See you again on Wednesday with Dr. Sanger. See you again on Friday with the Pi Show. Yep. And everybody stay safe, have fun.
All right.
Bye-bye.